Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to extend a warm and enthusiastic welcome to all on behalf of IQRAA International Hospital, Kozhikode. I am Asya, dietitian at IQRAA, and it is my pleasure to be your host for today's program. You can actively participate in the event through the comment box. All your questions will be answered at the end of the session. Today is a very special day for all of us as we gather here to celebrate National Nutrition Month 2023 with the theme Nutrition Rich India, Educated India, and Empowered India. And the theme we adapted is Holistic Nutrition through Sustainability. Before beginning the event, let me give epitome of our institution. IQRAA International Hospital and Research Center was established in 2000 by JDT Islam Orphanage Committee, Kozhikode, with the generous support of IQRAA for Human Relations, Saudi Arabia. IQRAA Hospital has evolved as a center for excellence in medicine by delivering high-quality healthcare service at affordable cost to the poor, particular and the society at large. The income generated is meant for the orphans and destitute children of JDT Islam Orphanage and other orphanages. Next, about our mission and vision to provide high quality, low cost treatment to all, especially the underprivileged patients, and to provide high quality clinical care at normal cost. Moreover, to achieve highest level of patient satisfaction and state of the art facility and equipment, and to invest in professional growth and community, and also to manage our resources prudently. Now, let me introduce our Executive Director, Dr. P.C. Anwar, the Deputy Director, Dr. Idris V, and the Group General Manager, Mr. Mohammed Jazil, the pillar of support of our IQRAA and encourages all the activities that we undertake. Now, let me introduce our department. We are 6 dietitians headed by Ms. Fida Jabir. Let me invite Ms. Sharanya, dietitian, for welcoming all you to the event. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It's a moment of extreme pleasure to welcome each one of you present today. Our Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. SubbaRao, our esteemed Management Committee, dear colleagues, friends, and all participants. On this occasion, we are extremely happy to have with us an eminent person, Dr. SubbaRao, Scientist FN Head of Nutrition, Information, Communication and Health Education Division, ICMR, NIN, Hyderabad. We hope you all enjoy this program and that it turned out to be a great success. And also thank you all for joining us today for this program. Once again, welcome you all. It's time to begin. For introducing the speaker, let me invite our team lead, Ms. Fida Jabir. Thank you.
Good evening, all. It's my extreme pleasure and privilege to introduce the speaker of the day, Dr. SubbaRao M. Gavaravarapu, Scientist F and Head of Nutrition Information, Communication and Health Education Division of ICMR, National Institute of Nutrition, Hyderabad. He has a PhD in Health Communication from University of Hyderabad. He was ICMR International Fellow at Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, USA. He was an international invitee in Summer School of Risk Communication at Technology University of Dresden, Germany in 2016, International Union of Nutrition Sciences workshop on capacity and leadership building in nutrition sciences in National Institute of Nutrition and Health, Tokyo, Japan. His research interests are in health, nutrition, and food safety communication with special emphasis on social, behavioral, and cultural aspects of communicative processes. His research and praxis have been integrating translational communication science with community-based operations to promote health and nutrition. He have more than 90 publications and almost 10 books to his credit. His recent achievements include he have received Outstanding Nutrition Scientist Award for academic accomplishments and exceptional dedication to the field of nutrition in Asia from Federation of Asian Nutrition Societies. He have received Silver Author Recognition Award from Journal of Nutrition Education and Behavior in recognition to authors with exceptional publication records in the journal and for higher frequency publication of excellent manuscripts during last 10 years. He have received award from Gujarat Science Academy for creating awareness on the field of science in research and science communication. He have also won award from various bodies like National Academy of Agriculture Sciences, Royal Society of Public Health, ICMR, American Society of Nutrition, Nutrition Society of India, and he is also associated with large number of nutritional health awareness programs. It is a truly privilege to welcome you, sir. He is my teacher too. So over to you, sir, for the session. Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay, I'm not able to see anything here. There's some glitch. Okay, I'll try to share my screen. Is it visible? Can you see?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, let me thank the ICRA Hospital and also our own colleague and student, Ms. Feda, for this very kind invitation. It's been a very, very hectic month knowing that this is the National Nutrition Month. And thank you for choosing this topic, Feda, for it's been very interesting that she chose sustainability and nutrition together. I just changed the topic little bit while keeping it to sustainability itself. The basic principle about nutrition is if nutrition, if any food that you're choosing for your health is nutritious, which means it's healthy, definitely it will be healthy for the planet as well. And that's how it is going to be very sustainable. Given very little time that we've got, I'll quickly touch upon some quick, overview of the topic, and then I'll give an overview of the topic, and then I would want to also respond to a few questions if you have. But given the time limitations, I will stick to only the importance of nutrition, diet diversity, and the climate impact or sustainability of our diets. I'll not be able to go into various other aspects of our work, but definitely during discussion, if there are anything that I can respond to, I'll be very happy to do it. So first of all, I also made it called life sensitive because this year's theme is all about Suposhit Bharat, Sakshar Bharat, and Sashakt Bharat. There are three aspects to it: nourished India, educated India, and capable or strong India. That's the theme for this year's topic. And in that, life sensitive approach is one of them. I'll tell you what life is all about a little later, but this will be the outline of my presentation. There'll be introduction and background, environmental impacts of various sectors, highlights of the current nutrition status in India, then environmental impact of Indian diets, and why it is important to communicate that and the way forward. As I said, life is something, a caption that India has given to the world recently through our Honorable Prime Minister. And in our nutrition week celebrations and nutrition month celebrations also, life sensitivity of nutrition is being given a lot of importance. Life is nothing but, in Prime Minister's words during the climate change conference, COP26, was that today the world admits that lifestyle has a big role in climate change. So I propose you a one word movement, he said, and the movement is life. Life is nothing but lifestyle for environment. This can be a mass movement because how it is important for us as nutrition people. What is needed today is a mindful and deliberate utilization, and not mindless and destructive consumption of any resources, including foods that we talk about. So uh, in this, there are a lot of things. There is about fishing, there is about agriculture, there is about wellness, and also most importantly, the dietary choices, which are very, very important. Of course, packaging, which also compromises the quality of the environmental quality of foods that we have a little bit because of the processing that happens to the food, and the packaging that happens because of various material that is used. So all these are directly or indirectly leaving some kind of climate and environmental impact. So let us look at the greenhouse gas emissions in the let us look at the greenhouse gas emissions in the Indian context. We'll see that these are the statistics from the USAID. And as of 2015, you can see that India produces 2.65 billion tons of greenhouse gas emissions. And it's the third largest, with about 6.8% of total emissions in the world being contributed. But if you look at India itself, maximum comes from the energy utilization. Energy includes thermal, energy includes hydro, energy includes nuclear, all these things. And second and most important is agriculture. This is very important for us because the agriculture is the sector which also includes rice cultivation, manure management, synthetic fertilizers, and then enteric fermentation, many other things. All the things that are there in the agriculture, including other agriculture, contributes to about 20% of greenhouse gas emissions in the country. Let us keep that idea aside that, for the greenhouse gas emissions, 20% is contributed by the agriculture sector, which is the basis for our food and nutrition. There is life expectancy in India. If you take this, most of you are all medical practitioners. You must be knowing this. From 1990 to 2020, how we have improved in terms of our life expectancy, which was just about 58 to 59 years or 60 years thereabouts, especially in 1990s. To 25 years later, it became 70, approximately 70 years, and 67 years for men. And in 2020 it became 72 years and 72 years for women and 70 years for men. This is the current life expectancy situation. Of course, you may all be knowing that in 1940s, when India gained independence, the life expectancy was barely 32 years. So from there, because of various changes in our food habits, economic development, medical facilities, pharmacological interventions, we've actually grown a lot, and then our life expectancy has improved. But is just improving life expectancy and lifespan, there are two different things, I know, but generally, to say the life expectancy and lifespan of the people, is it enough? Is it enough if they just survive? uh, how is their health? If you look at the disability adjusted life years, the disability adjusted life years of the people, that means, it includes both morbidity and mortality. The disability adjusted and the number of years that have lost because of the morbidity of due to a particular disease. If you look at the disability adjusted life years in 1990s, not far ago, just about 30 years ago, if you see, major contributors of DALYs, the disability adjusted life years, were the red part. Please look at the 1990s, the diagram with the red part of it. You can see the maternal communicable diseases occupied a lot of space, in the sense that many of the DALYs were being attributable to the communicable diseases. Just in 25 years, why it has happened? Because from 1990s, India went into an economic liberalization mode, and then we opened our markets, and then we got a lot of expansion of our economy, and at the same time we also had expansion of our healthcare facilities and things like that. So that is concomitant with the nutrition transition also in the country. So as our economy improved, as the facilities improved, as new foods have come in, our health status has also changed, mostly towards non-communicable diseases, and non-communicable diseases started occupying the larger place. You can see the blue circle in 2016 diagram, that you can see 55.4% of all the DALYs are contributed by non-communicable diseases. So that's such a transition from communicable diseases to non-communicable diseases. And at the same time, we should also know that while we are on a sticky ground in terms of undernutrition in the country, we have made some very good developments in terms of reducing childhood stunting and other things, like, from 41% in 2016 to 2019, we've come to close to 35%. That's good reduction, but nevertheless it still remains to be a problem. Undernutrition still remains to be a problem for us, but we are seeing the overweight and obesity is increasing. You just look at this graph heat map of India from NFHS study. If you see, it's a women's obesity. If you see, the red portions are all the high portions, and onto the left side of the chart, if you see, the red arrows, or the icons, you can see they are moving. That means they are they are increasing the number as compared to 2016 statistics of National Family Health Survey. You see the green ones, which is reduction. So the green ones, the reduction can be seen only in a few states like Lakshadweep and Rajasthan and other places. But you see Kerala, the states which are really good in terms of nutrition on other parameters when compared to stunting and other things, Kerala and Tamil Nadu are in fact doing much better than the rest of the country, and their reduction in stunting and their reduction and their child health status is comparable to some of the well developed countries. But unfortunately, if you see the increase in overweight and obesity, it's very high in these states. And similarly, you see Tamil Nadu, it's very high, and Kerala also, it is very high. From 32% in 2016, the overweight and obesity among women has grown to 38%, which is almost a 6% increase within a span of 4 5 years. So this is where we are, and all over India also there is a rise. And similarly, if you see this heat map district wise, if you see if the map district wise, if you see the red portions, if you can see, they are all like the concentrated areas where there are more and more women with lot of overweight and obesity related issues. These were very few in 2016, or the orange and yellow parts were larger in 2016. But as the transition happened within 5 years, you can see the red portions have taken over many parts of India. And you can see how Kerala is faring here. It's red, red, and red all through up till the Konkan belt, if you can see. So this is how it is. And then if you see the prevalence of malnutrition among children and adolescents, it is no different. You can see stunting and wasting still there. 35% of stunting is there. Wasting, there are different views of wasting, because some people say wasting is not a measure that we have to look at in the Indian context, which is also true, because our children are growing linearly. I hope all of you understand what are the terms wasting and stunting. Wasting is not adequate weight for height and age. Stunting is not adequate height for age. So wasting is something that if you go by the global standards, you see there is a lot of wasting in Indian context. But linear growth of the children's height is increasing per age very well. If people are actually wasted, it is unlikely that they even grow taller. So we can't say our Indian children are really wasted, but our measures that we currently have may not be adequately positioning us and telling whether our children are really wasted or not. But that aside, we still have the problems of undernutrition in Indian scenario, and at the same time, you can see the increasing overweight and obesity, and it is about 5% among children, while thinness is among 25% of the children, adolescents. So this is the reality of India. The problems of underweight, overweight, and obesity are coexisting. At the same time, if you look at the micronutrient deficiency among children and adolescents, these are all micronutrient deficiency. You can see 1 to 4 years, 5 to 9 years, 10 to 19 years. All of them have vitamin A deficiency, vitamin D deficiency. And as the adolescents, as the children grow from younger age towards little older age and adolescence, the micronutrient deficiencies increase. And anemia, unfortunately, is high in all the categories. This is from the Comprehensive National Nutrition Survey of India. Sorry for boring you with a lot of graphs, but I'm trying to make a point that these are the existing problems in India, that you have problems of undernutrition on one side and problems of overweight and obesity and non-communicable diseases. We used to think non-communicable diseases, diabetes, hypertension, low HDL and high LDL, all these are issues of very rich people and very well developed places and only urban areas. But sorry, this is not the scene. Even rural areas are contributing highest to the increase. And among children, if you see, it is so bad. The situation is very bad. You look at the high triglyceride rates among children, and you look at the hypertension among 10 to 19 years. You look at the cholesterol, high total cholesterol. You look at LDL. These are all very concerning. Maybe 5 to 10%, it's fine, but triglycerides very high in almost like 30%, and among 15% of the adolescents. But these are all not to be ignored, because in Indian context, even 5% means 20% of total population is adolescents. Of them, 5% means it's a huge population, and almost like one size of one European country is suffering from these kind of problems, and all of them are children. Imagine one European country has only adolescents and children in them, and all of them have these issues. So it is that the magnitude is that high. So if you look at the infant and young child feeding practice, why this is happening, we say mother's nutrition is not good, and the child is fetally programmed during the fetal stages, programmed for undernutrition. But after the child is born, for the first 100 days, which is very, very important, right from conception to the first 2 years, and most importantly, soon after the birth, 2 years, which is like the important time when exclusive breastfeeding is to be started, when timely initiation of complementary feeds right after 6 months of age has to be started. You look at this, these are all on less than 60%. It is not just enough to start complementary feed, and it is not just enough to continue breastfeeding up to 2 years, but the minimum meal frequency, which is important, is lacking in many, many, many children. That's minimum meal frequency required. A lot of mothers think that the children have to be fed only when they cry, only when they are hungry. So the frequency is missing, and adequate diet diversity, at least 5 of the 7 important groups to be added in the child's meal, it's absolutely missing. It's just among 20% of the children. And if you take minimum acceptable diet, which meets both frequency and diversity, is barely there among our children. It's just 6%. And this is the reality of today. So percentage of children consuming foods during the last 24 hours according to CNN's data, you see roots and tubers and grains, all of them have reported, but legumes and nuts only 30% or 40%. Dairy products, unfortunately, only 60%, and India, for that matter, is the highest producer of milk in the world. But unfortunately, only 60% of the children of 2 to 4 years have reported that they have had milk in the last 24 hours. That's the status. 2 to 4 years children having eggs in the last 24 hours survey, only 20%. Fruits and vegetable, less than 40%. And then percentage of children consuming at least once per week, if you see, uh, milk and milk products, about 60%. Flesh foods, this is only a 30% or so. Similarly, eggs. Fruits also is abysmally low. And unfortunately for us, we are the highest producers of vegetables and fruits in the world. First or second position we come in horticultural produce, but again our consumption is very, very less. If you see the health status of children, people of reproductive age, both 15 years to 49 years, you can see the BMI of women, BMI of men, overweight, obesity, and waist hip ratio. These are all concerning. The BMI, with people with less BMI are there, people with more BMI are there, and people with higher waist hip ratio are there. You can see men and women, urban and rural, and it is very, very concerning. So this is the status of our nutrition, and it's the same. You can see this between 2016 and 2019, how we have changed in all these parameters. And the waist hip ratio has also increased among men and women. It's high waist hip ratio among 57% of women. And because in Indian context, BMI may not be always a suitable parameter, we also take waist hip ratio, and waist hip ratio also indicates that 50% of the people have more waist hip ratio. And what's the environmental impact of our diets? You look at the food consumption in India and the GHG gas emissions. If you see rice, only the consumption in terms of percentage of the entire produce is there, but how much the cereals and millets, how much the impact. Millets are good. We have millet campaign, but millets are also an important cause for the greenhouse gas emissions. Similarly, ruminants are important. The cows and buffaloes and those, and also livestock production, which is easy available protein, very nice for us as nutritionists. But also, if you take the other side of it, their greenhouse gas emission is a bit higher. So this is from a study done in 2017. But if you take the diversity, why do we need diverse diets for all of us? The diversity is very, very important because we need to get all nutrients, and no one food is full in all nutrients. No one food has all the nutrients. If you look at the diet diversity, this is from data of 2012, 2019, the CNNS data, 2 to 4 year children and 5 to 19 year children. You see 60%. Grains and roots, everybody says, because everybody eats aloo. But if you see the others, it's all very less. and similarly milk and milk product, pulses, everything is less. And if you look at aerated beverages, this is very concerning. 10% of the children have aerated beverage, and fried foods 30% of the children have. But rest of the wanted things, these should be actually less, this should be actually more, but these are actually high and the rest are less. So are adults any better? We don't have diet data among adolescents from after 2012. In Indian context, we have data only from National Nutrition Monitoring Bureau. If you take 2012 data and also the guidelines of that time, we recommended cereals of 494. Now it is very less. Now it is only 240 grams. I'll come to that little later. But even to that, if you see, the cereal consumption is almost good, but protein has not changed much. 60% is recommended and people have less than 31. Green leafy vegetables, even today we recommend 100 to 150 grams. People have only 18 grams on an average. And vegetables, 100 grams we recommend, 56 grams people eat. So it's the same among men and women. What is recommended, what people have, is very, very less. I know you will ask me, sir, it must be very expensive to do all the diversity of the diet that you are asking about. It may be little expensive, but people spend on various other things. Even in poorer families, a lot of money is spent on alcoholism. A lot of money is spent on processed foods. A lot of money is spent on various other things. But if we can cut those things a bit, I'm sure it is not very difficult to meet the diet diversity required. If you see the dietary guidelines, how India prescribes, and if everybody was to eat the way India prescribes, Indian dietary guidelines, I mean, Fida can share this dietary guidelines. The new dietary guidelines will be coming sometime this year towards the end of it. But till then, what we have is 2011 guidelines. 2023 guidelines are going to be very different and very nice, and little different in terms of not recommending sugar. I mean, there are no even limit also. We have not specified the sugar. We have introduced a few more things about protein, about water, about many other things. Of course, they will be shared as and when they are out. They are to be released very, very soon. But if you take the dietary guidelines that India currently prescribes also, and this study has done, lot of other countries' diets have been taken, and Eat Lancet diet, which is supposed to be the best diet, globally sustainable diet that was prescribed according to the Eat Lancet Commission series. If you take all these, still the greenhouse gas emissions of Indian dietary guidelines are the least you can see here. So just by sticking to dietary guidelines, normal people, if they stick to dietary guidelines, we need not worry too much about sustainability of our diets. So this is the key message that I wanted to give. And dietary patterns, if you take, and the greenhouse gas emissions globally, high meat eaters, medium meat eaters, low meat eaters, fish eaters, vegetarians, and vegans. You can see definitely yes, of course, the meat eating have you know the gas emissions per 2000 kilocalorie diet are generally high among the meat eating things, but I'm not discouraging you from consuming meat because it is a easily available protein. But if you can get a balance along with the meat of fruit and vegetable, of various other food groups, of milk products, of egg, of fats, of nuts, of green leafy vegetables, of cereals, it is very desirable, and it can be balanced out. The global warming potential of various diets, non-vegetarian diet every day, lacto-vegetarian diet, you can see vegetarian diet automatically is suggested to be better, and no wonder many of the Western countries are now going to little towards vegetarianism. But we are not advocating that, because in India, non-vegetarian consumption is usually occasional, except in a few states where people eat on a daily basis almost. But in states like ours, in Telangana or in Andhra or in any of the North Indian states, non-vegetarianism other than eggs is almost like occasional. Because in our parts of the country, non-vegetarian is cooked almost like on a Saturday or a Sunday or on a special day, but most unlikely on all days. But there are some states, some parts of Kerala do eat, some parts of Northeast do eat, some parts of West Bengal do eat fish almost on a daily basis. But if traditional diet is good, we are not discouraging it, but at the same time, The balance is what is required, and then choice from several food groups is also important. How do we achieve this? Is it very difficult? This is what NIN prescribes. My plate for the day, it is available on our website. You can definitely take it. My plate for the day prescribes 240 grams of cereals every day. The this includes 30 to 40% of millets or whole grain cereals, and try to get the cereals that you get also the staples like rice and wheat also as far as possible in their whole manner with little polish. If that can be achieved, it goes a long way. At the same time, a lot of people think it is very difficult to actually say fats are bad. A lot of people think fats are bad, but we say there is a necessity for certain amount of fats in our day-to-day life. There's a visible fats. Total fat content in a day should not exceed about 60 grams approximately for a 2000 kilocalorie diet. Of that, half should come from visible fat, like oils, plant oils, and the oils that we use, and also as far as possible animal fats can be avoided, so that it is little better off in terms of the quality of the fat. At the same time, a blend of different vegetable oils is very important for all of us. Then a fistful of nuts, about 30 grams. Don't look at the almonds or maybe cashews. It can be peanuts, it can be any locally available nuts. And then about 90 grams of pulses can be replaced adequately with fish, meat, or egg. Up to you, depending on your choice, vegetarian or non-vegetarian. And also milk, about 300 grams milk. If people are not interested to have milk, encourage them to have milk products, something like curd or whatever, which is commonly consumed in South India. About 150 grams of seasonal fruit, maybe 100 grams at least of seasonal fruit is a must, with a 350 kilocalorie, 350 grams of fruit, sorry, vegetables, including 50 to 100 grams of green leafy vegetables, at least green leafy vegetables on 3 to 4 days of a week is very important. If all the raw foods that you have to eat in one full day for getting a 2000 kilocalorie is to be put on a raw on a plate, it should look somewhat like this. And you can also see the proportion of calories that each food group has to contribute to your daily diet from this. Having said that, let us just look from 2012 data, because as I said, we don't have diet data after that. Our director and the team have tried to put these as to how India eats. If this is what we recommend, and you ask people whether they are eating vegetable, everybody says they are eating vegetable. Ultimately, they'll be eating only potato, onion, and tomato, but not the other foods. But if you see what is recommended here in terms of fruit, vegetables, and what people are consuming here is very less. And look at what is occupying half plate against half plate of fruit and vegetable that we are suggesting. Half plate of rice, because we put a heap of rice, and on the heap of rice we want to have the accompanying items, and that is also contributing to the calories that we are getting. And if they are coming from whole complex carbohydrates, it should be good. But to get from refined flours and other things, you can see about 40 grams of on an average consumption, which means on an average 40 grams is being consumed, means there could be people who are consuming more than 100 grams, there could be people who are consuming less than 20 grams. I don't know what the range is, but it is like average is itself is 40 grams in a day of highly processed, ultra processed foods, which are rich in which are high in fat, sugar, and salt, is a reality of India. This is from 2012 data. Imagine if we are to collect, of course our institute is now collecting a nationwide data from all states and union territories. By next year end, we will have all the diet data, and also the cooked food data, and also the extent of dietary consumption, and also the extent of nutrients in the daily food that people have estimated. And when that we can see further as to how bad we've gone. So if you take the milk as against the 300 ml prescribed, India on an average has 100 ml, but there could be children or people, households who are having less than 20 ml of the milk. That is very shameful to us. Even in the houses where milch cattle are there, where milk is being produced, people are not consuming it. They are selling to the last drop to make money out of it. But if this is the rural scenario, is urban area any better? Because of availability and other things, urban area should be better. But if you see again, half the plate is filled with rice or wheat, and fruit and vegetable is very less, and mostly potato and onion. And if you see real fruit and seasonal fruit consumption, it's very less. Mostly people have banana. If you see, but most scary thing is about 170 grams 17 grams of ultra processed food every day is being consumed by people. And milk is any better? No, it is not better. Milk is same as what people consume in rural areas. So where are we heading? This is a problem. So if everyone is to fix to the dietary guidelines or a 2000 kilocalorie my plate for the day suggestion that India gives, will it help India to reduce the environmental footprints and make our diets and sustainable to the planet? Yes. Shift from current national food consumption pattern towards the healthy side of adoption of dietary guidelines is it can impact greenhouse gas emissions. And also dietary data were derived from 2011-12 and 34 food groups. As I said, it is saying it can improve. How it will improve? The relative change in the greenhouse gas emissions and water footprints, if you see, and the land use will shift very well. Shifting to healthy guidelines, that what is prescribed now nationally will require an increase in dietary energy of 3%, fruits 18%, vegetables 17% intake. Uptake of healthy diets in India results in small increases. If you move people from the current way that they're eating towards healthy eating, it will also have greenhouse gas emissions and land use issues, and water footprints will also be there, but that will be very, very mild. If those consuming below dietary energy guidelines start consuming recommended dietary allowances, it would increase footprints. But those consuming diets above the recommended ones have reduced, it will have a better impact in terms of quality. So those who are consuming more than cereals and other things that are recommended more than what is recommended, if they bring down their consumption, then it will have positive impact. And that positive impact will be much more than people who move towards healthier habits will cause. So in toto, if India moves towards having healthier diets, it will be better off for the planet and also for the individuals. So what is the and the way to get started is to quit talking and start doing something. But what are the issues that we are confronting? We now should stop looking at only food security for all. All our government programs, all our programs, whichever state we belong to, or even the center, they look at only giving enough food for people to survive. But we don't just need enough food for people to survive. We also need people to be nutritionally well nourished. So we need nutrition security and not just food security. Of course, because of various measures, policy measures, there are a lot of food habits that have changed in the past because of aggressive marketing and advertising. We tend to, for instance, if you see the chocolates and then confectionery and the other things, how they are advertised for our festivals, for a Rakhi, if you love your sister, you'll have to give a chocolate packet. I mean, it is better to give a fruit packet. Why should we give a chocolate packet? They are made in such a way that they become our options. You go to a village, you will have a 2 rupee chips packet available, you will have a 2 rupee biscuit packet available. A mother gives 2 rupees for a child to go and buy a biscuit packet, thinking that the biscuit is good because it is marketed as a healthy milk based biscuit, and people think it is good to have biscuit and need not have milk. So these, and also the government policies of only distributing rice through public distribution system and not diversifying the basket as much as it is required, is causing the food sovereignty to erode. Food sovereignty is the kind of autonomy in what we used to eat, because each region eats a different kind of a diet in India, but that also being taken away because of aggressive marketing policies and sometimes not so very well thought out food security policies. There are changing agriculture policies in the country. market forces are working. As I said, storage facilities are very minimum. So even to diversify diet, all the, for instance, you see it from time to time, tomatoes were very expensive some time back. In just about 2 3 weeks they have come down. Probably all the farmers will start growing tomatoes now. In another 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or maybe in a month's time, you can see people not getting adequate price for tomatoes and dumping all tomatoes and going away. So if we have storage facilities, we can use adequately during various lean seasons, but that will not, I mean, that takes a lot of time. And globalization has brought so many foods to our markets, and then we have a variety of things, and then companies spend a lot of money even to arrive at a bliss point. You know, the way you bite a potato chips and the crackle sound that it makes you to eat more. But to get to that crackle sound, to get to that consistency, to get to that crispiness of the chips, they invest a lot of money. And then that money is charged from you in terms of what you pay, and the advertising that they do is to make you eat more and more. And they are very 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 addictive as well. And then there is enabling environment that is not there, because food environment needs to be enabled for people to eat healthy. And at the same time, they have to have enabling assets like a good kitchen, a place to, a separate place to cook, piped water supply. Of course, we are, government is trying to do, and all governments are trying to take piped water to everyone, healthy water to everyone, health care for everyone. At the same time, safe cooking fuel for everyone. All these things are being seen. And at the same time, climate change, as we discussed, due to other aspects, due to pollution, due to vehicular movement, due to the energy that we use, due to the plastic that we use, the climate is also undergoing a lot of transition. And this is the scenario in which we are working towards this. And micronutrient deficiencies are very high, and there are several global strategies, fortification, supplementation, and other things are there. But the most sustainable strategy is dietary diversification. As nutritionists, as medical practitioners, as people who are into this business, your first thing should be not to prescribe supplements, but to make food based approach the universal approach. Try and get as much diversity as possible in the diets people have. In most of the southern Indian states today, we have people make rice and have only one accompanying item with it. Is it possible that we increase it to 2 to 3 accompanying items and one locally available fruit? Fruit is not expensive. Don't think in terms of apple or a kiwi fruit or whatever is very expensive. Think what is locally available, what can be shared. If you take a papaya, it can be shared by 5 people for the for same 50 rupees that you have two apples for. So it is about thinking how to diversify diet. This is very very important. Only then it will be better. Yes, the dietary diversification depends on food environment. The food environment is in turn guided by availability, accessibility, affordability, acceptability, and accommodation of foods, and that is guided by agriculture. So all these are interlinked. Only when these things are taken into consideration, only when we start demanding healthier foods and more diverse foods, this will be produced. Otherwise, the markets will soon take over us. So these are some of the things. Sustainable approach. Regularly, this is a programmatic approach. May not be very relevant for the audience today, but anyways, this what it talks about is there is a need for nutrition and agriculture integration. Climate change should be kept in mind. At the same time, post harvest storage technologies are very important, and we should sustainably work towards behavior change of the people. Only then this entire the achieving of the sustainable strategy for dietary diversification and environment friendliness can be done. Towards closing of this thing, again, let us think Suposhit Bharat, Sakshar Bharat, Sashakt Bharat is nutrition rich India. You all know that good nutrition is the basis for cognition and good education. And only when our younger generation has good nutrition and good education can they be empowered better. That comes from holistic nutrition for all, and that is the foundation for it. So the skills that we need are how to choose low cost nutritious foods from what is available, and looking for as much variety as possible in what we eat. Our good cooking practices should be there, safe cooking practices should be there, and we should all know and be able to read food labels. And now I am very happy that we see videos day after day of youngsters telling us what is wrong on the labels. That is because they are able to read the labels. Everyone should start reading the labels, and only then we will be able to point out what is wrong, and then we can take the industry to the task. Relying on environmentally friendly agriculture and most importantly, adhering to dietary guidelines is the most important thing for all of us. So that is the mantra for life. And as a scientist, you should know a good science is the one that blasts many doubts, that forces what is not obvious. And science is the eye of everyone. The one who can't see things very scientifically is almost like a blind man. You all have, you are all equipped with science, and please make use of your science to tell people to diversify their diets first. And that's the only way that we can reach good nutrition and environmentally sustainable nutrition. Thank you for your attention. If there are any questions, I'll quickly take them.
Thank you, sir. We had a much legitimate presentation that each one of us need to really into. The importance of following my plate of the day in sustainability and beating the Eat Lancet recommendation in beating greenhouse gases is well noted. So thank you taking all over the India in terms of achieving a holistic nutrition through sustainability. Now the platform is open for discussion. You can note your questions in the chat box.
I think there are no questions.
So yes, should I read it?
Yeah, please. Are there any questions?
Sir, it is visible in chat. I will read for you, sir.
One second, one second. Yeah, yeah. Please, you may please read. It's not opening for me.
Okay.
It's
Sir,
rotating, but it's not opening. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
The question is from Afroza Sheikh. She
Mm.
asked that the nutritional requirement for elderly in India, it states that ensuring the health and quality of life, especially among the geriatric population, is a challenge. So, as a
Yeah,
dietitian,
yeah.
she is interested in learning more about what all the strategies can be implemented to promote awareness and education about poor nutrition among the elderly population and their caregivers in our country.
Yeah, it's a very good question, but a complicated one at that. If you just see the requirements that are there for the elderly, they are again not computed based on the real data. They are only mathematical extrapolation of what we suggest for the adult, average adult. So there are a lot of things, during elderly age, as you rightly said, there are many issues that come in the uh, uh, that hinder the right dietary practices, including their mental status, including their dentures, including their muscle wasting, including lack of physical activity, and of course, if they have any other NCDs, these are all issues that are there among adults, and then isolation sometimes, and then what their mental status is because of how they are being treated in the family. All these things have an impact on the way they eat. But as of now, what we have for the elderly requirements are there, but for them, micronutrient rich foods and fiber rich foods are very, very important. And of course, because of their lack of teeth and other things, they may not be able to chew and eat a lot of them. So one has to make those changes for them. And as you said, rightly said, the caregivers are the ones who also need to know the transitions that happen during various phases. And then it has to be a continuous process. How do you educate the caregivers? How do you? It should be a process of. I think it should start early on in life. We should all know, like we prepare for our own adulthood from childhood, from adolescence, from adulthood towards our elderly age. We should all be aware as to what would be the transitions that we'll have, and what are the extent of non-communicable diseases that are going to that we are going to face. So all the adults, if you've seen in your families or anywhere in the world, the elderly people who have been active right from their very early age, of course, other than any other sudden degenerative diseases like neural diseases or others, they are all like the active individuals who are who have kept up their activity level, and then kept up their sleeping times, kept up their mental status very well. They usually have a good quality of life. But what happens is, in most elderly people, the quality of life goes down and they only survive. So to improve this, it is everybody's responsibility. And I suggest you should read one of our recently published papers in Indian Journal of Medical Research, nutritional requirements for the elderly. You just type that, and then you can see Miss Shalini is the first author, and second author, I think I am the second author, and then is written by Dr. Bhanu Prakash and then team. Fida can source it for you. You can read that, and then it'll probably give you an overview as to how to go about, looking for dietary requirements for the elderly. Okay. Any more questions? I hope I answered your question. It's a complicated
Yes, sir.
question. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, sir. The next question is from Jisha Rose Joseph. She asked that does this 2000 kilocalorie calculation for a moderate or sedentary adult is way too high?
Absolutely, it is very high. The sedentary adult is, woman, as you know, is about 1660 and man is about 1800. But the 2000 kilocalorie is the one that we usually take for making any recommendation, because it is in a way striking balance between the sedentary and moderately active, and all the age groups, even, and even for regulatory purposes like for food labeling or for calculating the daily wages and other things, it is usually seen at a 2000 kilocalorie rate, and that's the reason why the plate promotes for a 2000 kilocalorie. But it is not necessary that one should have a 2000 kilocalorie. Mathematically you can adjust it to the other requirements that you have. And if when our dietary guidelines for Indians come, the new ones, you will have it for various age groups and work, I mean the amount of physical activity that they put in accordingly. So this is only an overview of how to meet a 2000 kilocalorie. It is, you don't please assume that everybody needs to meet 2000 kilocalorie diet. No, it is not like that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next question is from dietitian Kanak Rai. She asked about what is food crisis.
Food crisis.
Yes.
I'm not too sure what she's referring to, but food crisis, is it what you're talking about, the adequacy of food, or you're talking about the nutritional crisis? I'm not sure what she is referring to. I didn't
Okay.
get her question straight.
Okay. Okay, sir. We can request her to repeat the question in chat box. The next question is
Food
the
crisis.
we. Sorry, sir.
Yeah, yeah,
Can shall we move to the next question?
yeah, yeah.
So the next is asked by Arunima. Vegan diet, an emerging trend. What are your thoughts on plant-based diet and their impact on sustainability?
Plant-based diets and impact on sustainability.
Vegan diet, sir.
Yeah, you've seen that vegan diets as of now are shown to be better off in terms of their greenhouse gas emissions, and then it's good in terms of sustainability. But in my opinion, it is a cycle. Once everyone goes towards vegan diets and then we end up doing only millets and things like that, it will also have its impact. So what is better is diverse diet. Vegan diets as of now are shown to be environmental friendly, no doubt about it.
Okay, sir. Shall I move to the next question?
Yeah, yeah.
What are the key challenges and barriers to promoting sustainable nutrition on a broader scale?
That's what I said. No two regions in India eat the same way. And on a broader scale, if you want to do a sustainable nutrition for everyone, what the only way is to make people understand what is locally available, diversify from what is locally available, and please have the basic understanding of what is healthy, what is unhealthy. I mean, what are the nutrients of concern, like fat, sugar, and salt, how much we should have, how much we should not have. And if you have this in mind and then remove notions like whatever is made at home is healthy, whatever purchased outside is unhealthy, you may be wrong. Ultimately, if you're making a pizza at home, it could be unhealthy. If you are making a maida based some dish with some deep frying it and then having salt added to it, it is as unhealthy as you buy from outside. So the basic understanding that we need to have is what is healthy and what is unhealthy, whether you make at home, whether you're eating outside, and the ability to read the food labels, because you can't escape from packaged food. In near future, everything comes in packaged form, even single ingredient atta, sugar, everything comes in a packaged form. So you should be able to read, you should be able to understand. And finally, and most importantly, we should encourage people to source most nutritious food from locally available ones, so that our cultural sustainability, our agriculture sustainability is also addressed along with our nutrition sustainability. So the important skills are ability to choose what is healthy and what is unhealthy, ability to read the labels, and ability to choose from locally available foods to diversify your diets. If you have these three skills, and if you universalize these three skills, I think we are a long way towards making nutrition more sustainable and broad based for everyone.
Okay, sir. For the next, the dietitian Kanika Roy had re-mentioned as food security and food crisis. I hope we already discussed the topic.
Yeah, food. As I said, a food crisis we hardly have in Indian context, because food security wise we are able to reach everyone in terms of some food for everyone. But the problem is there are lot of deficits in terms of the pulse production, in terms of the available horticultural produce being able to be distributed to everyone, and in terms of dairy being able to be. So there is a crisis in terms of diversity. There is no crisis in terms of food. The food is available, but all the food that is available need not necessarily be healthy, or need not only one variety of food need not does not guarantee health. So that's the reason why there is a requirement for diversity. If there is any crisis that we are facing today, it is a crisis of non-diverse diets and non-nutritious diets that we should take care.
Thank you, sir. Next question is from Needu Elsa. It's a practical question actually. As a family suggests only one side dish every time, can we mix all and have for every day for complete healthy plate?
Sorry, I didn't get it. Can you explain that question to me?
As a family suggest, actually in our household we used to have one side dish every time. Then
Yeah.
how can mix all this for every day to complete the healthy plate?
Yeah, obviously. See, what I'm trying to say is, say you are a rice eater. Along with rice, I'm not saying you should mix all and eat, but as a rice eater, if you eat rice with two or three different items, say if you are eating a chicken curry or a mutton curry today, along with mutton curry, have some green leafy vegetable or have some curd in a different item. I mean, so what I'm trying to say is try and diversify as much as possible. One accompanying item with the staple is limiting your diversity, and within one item you can make it. Say for instance, there are a lot of things, how I don't know what different kinds of dishes that Kerala makes, but avial, if you take it, there's a full of vegetables and then you make it in curd. And similarly, if you make, say, a chicken curry for a food, you can also have some amount of a vegetable or a dal alongside it, and reduce on the chicken, instead of having only rice, heap of rice, and then something to go with it. Say you are having a parota. Along with parota, have two or three different. You can have it with dal. You can have it with a non-vegetarian. You can have it with several other side dishes. So that's what I'm meaning to say. I mean, if you can mix several vegetables in one particular dish and eat, it is good. Why not? But still, diversity needs to be maintained. Diversity is not just about having many items, but also having many food groups in the items that you are eating. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Next question is from Jumana. In sustainable seafood choices, what guidance can be consumers follow to support both ocean health and their own nutritional need?
See, the seafoods are really good for nutritional needs. There is no doubt about it, most of them. But the climate impact of them happens because of the kind of fishing that happens, and the motorboats and the nets and the other things that are there. The climate impact is largely due to that. So I am not sure about what kind of fish is good. But again, within the fish, it is better to have diverse fish. Seafoods are always good, as you all know. They have good amounts of essential fatty acids along with nice protein. So it is always good to have seafoods. About the varieties, I'm not too sure. I'm not in a position to answer that question. Next, please, if there is any.
Yes, sir. Actually, one of our delegate have shared her experience. She's having 2-year-old girl with vitamin deficiency and consulted two pediatrician and recommended only supplements, and also advised about vitamin D rich food. She asked that why doctors are not recommending sunlight.
That is because you are not taking it. See, sunlight, and also there are D2 rich vitamins. D3, of course, you cannot get D2 rich foods that are there. But the easiest, if the deficiency is very high and if it is to be corrected immediately, the short term strategy is to give you supplement. And if the doctor is not recommending sunlight along with the supplement, or D2 rich foods like egg yolk or maybe milk or other things along with the food, then I think as a dietitian you should incorporate them in the diet. But what the doctor is trying to address is a short term strategy and immediate relief from the deficiency that your child might have.
The next question is from Ranjit Menon. He asks that food habits vary across geographies based on a host of factors such as availability of food items, seasonal temperature, etc. Is having universal value for cholesterol and triglyceride the right way to measure and treat them and recommend diets?
You mean to say universal value for, I mean, universal cutoffs? Is it the
Yes,
cutoffs
I
for?
hope.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is debatable whether the cutoffs universally are good or not. Now we already have debates on whether anemia related cutoffs are good in Indian context, stunting and wasting related cutoffs are good for Indian context or not. As you said, there are a lot of differences in the way we eat. In India, if you take among rice eaters in South Indian states, hypertriglyceridemia is a normal thing that you see. But how much of it is actually translating to any health hazard? We have hardly have any studies. I think long-term longitudinal studies need to be done to arrive at some conclusion and answer your question. As of now, we don't have, I mean, I don't have any answer for your question. Yeah, I mean, it is always nice to see contextually and see whether we are able to bring out or how well we are aligning with the global standards. But as of now, I don't have any answer for your question.
So Fida here. So
Yeah,
I
Fida.
just wanted to ask you a question regarding the behavioral changes because your work area also specify that. And in your presentation, you have mentioned regarding the 2 to 4 years child who have a very low consumption of milk. So, in your experience, what are the challenges that you have faced in addressing the behavioral changes of the population, sir?
There are many. It depends. It is very contextual. There are many behavioral issues that people have. One thing is the way they eat, they don't want to change, and people usually eat for taste. And then if you tell them that eating now will help you stay healthy in later part of your life, it is something that they cannot see tangibly. Like, if you have cough, you give them a cough syrup, they'll sleep and their cough is reduced. If you give a tablet when they have a headache, it will reduce. The answers are seen, I mean, the response is seen very immediately. But in terms of nutrition, it is not that. They will always have problems of telling you. They'll tell you, I have an uncle who's now 84 years old, very strong, but he drinks a quarter every night and then smokes at least 2 packets of cigarette, and still he's healthy, nothing has happened to him. People give all these examples to do, because every, and another behavioral challenge that we usually confront is when you tell about diet, people will ask about magic remedies. Sir, how can I reduce my weight? People say green tea, having green tea every day will reduce your weight. We say, why do you look for magic remedies? You try and do things that are necessary and sustainable. Somebody goes in for a keto diet and then wants to reduce weight for 3 kgs or 4 kgs within 2 weeks or 3 weeks. But are they sustainable? Can you eat that kind of a diet regularly? What will happen to your kidneys? So this understanding is lacking among people. So this is a usual behavior change that we see. And as dietitians, I'm sure you also see people want quick answers, people want easy answers, and it should only depend on easy task. If I have green tea, I will reduce. If I have hot water in honey, I'll have lesser tummy. But they don't want to do what is to be done. Like physical activity, minimum of 35 to 40 minutes every day, nobody wants to do. Sunlight exposure, nobody wants to do. Diet diversity, nobody wants to do. They want to eat what seems very tasty for them, and they want to eat and overeat. These are all behavioral issues that we confront day in and day out. How do you address them? It is case to case basis, it is situation to situation basis. And I'm sure with any kind of communication, we cannot directly address all issues at one go. We have to go one after the other. And then the amount of perception of risk about not having right kind of foods, we need to keep enhancing that. Anything may happen to you also is one thing that we have to tell people on a regular basis. It's a never ending thing, it's a long term process.
Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
right.
I hope that we are entered the question and answer section and we have answered almost all questions.
Thank you very much.
So, shall we move to the next part of our program?
Yeah, please. Okay, you want me to stay back or can I leave?
Yes, sir. For 5 minutes, sir.
Yeah, sure.
We are excited to enter into the most awaiting session of this webinar, that is to announce the winners of cooking competition conducted for the hospital staff and the poster competition for all dietitians and students across our country. Cooking competition was with the millet as a core ingredient, and we assessed taste, texture, flavor, and overall presentation. And for the poster competition, the theme was the holistic nutrition through sustainability, and the content, word visibility, overall presentation was rated. I would like to say that we have received good posters from all over the country, and this was really a tough competition. Let me announce the results. Sorry for the technical delay. Am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
Congratulations
So,
to the winners.
congratulations to the winners. The first prize goes to Jadir from IT department. He made mixed millet dosha. And the second prize goes to Usha from F&B department. She made mixed millet puttu. And we move to the winners of poster competition. We have two categories. In the dietitian category, the first prize goes to Fiza Nawaz, consultant nutritionist and freelancer, and the second prize goes to Arati Yadav, dietitian from AIMS Jodhpur. And in students category, the first prize goes to Neeraja Soman from CMS Kottayam, and the second prize goes to Sheikh Afroza Anjuman I Islam College of Home Science, Mumbai. Congratulations to all winners. I hope all the winners are here. And now I would like to call dietitian Jesna IQRAA Hospital to deliver vote of thanks.
Greeting to everyone present today, including our distinguished chief guest, Dr. SubbaRao MG, our esteemed management committee, dear colleagues, friends, and all participants. It is an honor to have the opportunity to express my appreciation to all the dignitaries present. I am grateful to esteemed delegates of the webinar for their presence and effort in making this event success. I extend my sincere thanks to our honored chief guest, Dr. SubbaRao MG, for taking time from his busy schedule to be with us. The session was factual and enlightening for us. A special thank you goes to Executive Director PZ Anwar, Deputy Director Dr. Idris, General Manager Mr. Muhammad Jasil for their unwavering support in making this webinar a success. My gratitude also goes to Ms. Vida Jabal, Head of the Clinical Nutrition Department, for her effort in organizing this event amidst endemic. I must also acknowledge the organizing team and volunteers of their hard work in the lead up this webinar. Thank you once again to everyone for making this event great success. Thank you so much.
Good evening, all. Here we come to end of our section. We have provided a link for your valuable response and to get your e-certificate for participation. Thank you all once again.